Hey, this is Brad Yates from tapwithbrad.com. And if you really want to know how to level up your life, you should listen to Time to Shine Today podcast with my good friend Scott Ferguson. Let's level up.
Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson. We're at episode 341 with my good friend Brad Yates. He has a fantastic technique, a company that's called Tap with Brad. Tapping is something that I was introduced to probably about 2 years ago, and it does really help you stop self-sabotaging yourself, puts you in the right frame of mind. My friend Brad is very fascinated the power of the mind and personal development, and it's really shows through. I mean, he has 240,000 subscribers to his YouTube channel. He's the real deal, and I'm not going to share too much, but I want you to really probably watch this video on our website as well, because he shows a few of the techniques that he uses. And of course, if you like the episode, please hit the like button or give us a 5-star review on any of the podcast directories. And without further ado, here's my really good friend, Brad Yates, with Tap with Brad. Let's level up. Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson. And I got something that I'm not very educated in, but I am super interested in because I've watched YouTube videos about tapping. Tap it in if you're a fan of the Happy Gilmore movie. But my good friend, Brad Yates from the Yates Empowerment Strategies is an internationally known for his creative uses of EFT and tapping and has over 1,000 YouTube videos. Don't go there now, but I think he's coming up on like 240,000 subscribers, which is just absolutely amazing. And he's also the author of a best-selling children's book, The Wizard's Wish, a featured expert in the film The Tapping Solution, and a presenter at numerous events, including Jack Canfield's Breakthrough to Success. This guy is a baller, a shot caller. I'm absolutely blessed to have him on. And Brad, please introduce yourself to Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
Oh, man, that wasn't on the prep work.
No, there's nothing on that prep work, brother.
Oh, it fluctuates. Sometimes it's green, sometimes it's burgundy, sometimes it's teal.
Okay. I love
Those
it.
are my favorites.
I like teal on you. I think teal's in your good color wheel there, brother. You're handsome devil, you.
So, go on. No, really, go on, Scotty.
All right, man. So let's get into, because not everybody just grows up saying, I'm going to be a tapping professional. You know what I'm saying? They say that, they're like, oh, tap dancer or whatnot. And I just have to tell you that not your video, but before I get introduced to you by our good friend Amanda Rose, I watched a video with, I think it was Toad the Wet Sprocket. It was a band. And the leader of the band, the lead singer, showed how he tapped himself to sleep because of his grind on the road and whatnot. And I'm like, that is amazing. I just haven't had the patience to sit down and really dig into it myself. So let's get to the origins of, like, maybe your earlier years a little bit, Brad, and then kind of move into, how you're an EFT and tapping internationally known person.
How far back do you want to go?
As far as you're comfortable. Our time frame.
I was born in Anaheim, and I used to have dreams that I was born underwater on the submarine ride at Disneyland. And years later, went back and worked at Disneyland. But I started out as an actor and had got my degree in acting, traveled the world doing theater, and went to Hollywood to become a movie star. And then I met a woman, got married, and when our first child was on the way, I thought I should probably have a backup career. And so instead of getting a steady 9-to-5 job, I trained to become a hypnotherapist because I'd always been fascinated by the power of the mind, and started doing that back and forth with the acting. And then after a couple of years, when our second child was on the way, I realized, as much as I loved acting, personal development work was really my calling. This is what really felt right for me. And we left LA, and through some other hypnotherapists, I heard about this tapping thing and went to Las Vegas, took a workshop with the founder of EFT, Gary Craig. And it was like, wow, this is really interesting. And started introducing it little by little into my hypnotherapy sessions, until little by little, they became tapping sessions with a little bit of hypnosis at the end.
Can you get into the EFT part of it?
Yeah. So emotional freedom techniques, EFT, which a lot of us call tapping, is a simple process of tapping with our fingertips on these key points, primarily on the face and torso. And I know if people are new to this, you're thinking, what the heck? Why is
Yeah.
he on here? It's based on acupuncture originally. So for
Hmm.
thousands of years in Chinese medicine, they said there's this flow of energy through the body along these pathways called meridians. And when you stimulate these points, in Chinese medicine, they use needles and stick it in there to stimulate that healthy flow of energy.
Hmm.
And this another psychologist named Roger Callahan determined that you could just tap these points with your fingertips and get all this benefit from calming down the nervous system. And we have a growing body of scientific evidence validating that it's a profound tool for down-regulating stress. And when you consider that stress either causes or worsens most, if not all, of our issues, then having a simple technique for calming down the stress response is profoundly powerful in all kinds of areas of our lives,
I love it.
including our entrepreneurial endeavors.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you find that you blend the tapping with other breathing techniques, or is it like as part of your kind of personal arsenal? To, I mean, you're pretty well put together, you do well, but you found that it just blends well with other lifestyles that people live to level up?
Absolutely. It's what I love about it is such a complementary therapy to whatever other people, whatever modalities people might be using. And because it's so simple. And the great thing about it is that it doesn't take any thought to do it. Now, in my videos, I use all kinds of words to try to bring up what might be holding people back and try to, figure out where the blocks are. But if you're in a place of stress, you don't need to say anything. So it's not like, if you're in a stressful situation, like you have a presentation and you've just found out that the audio system has gone out and you're stressing out, it'd be very hard to say, you know what, sit down and meditate for a few minutes.
Right. Yeah.
Unless you've been practicing for 30 years. But this is a very simple thing that requires no thought, and it will start to calm down the nervous system. And then you can integrate it with all kinds of affirmations, with prayers, with CBT, with all kinds of different processes. And what it does is it calms down the stress that comes up when we try to make changes. When we're looking to make, if we're trying to be more successful in our business, a lot of us have blocks that we don't know about why we couldn't or shouldn't be successful, why we couldn't or shouldn't be wealthier. So when we sit there and think about, oh, I have this goal of making this amount of money this month, and at a conscious level we're going, yeah, and I'm going to kill it, and I'm going to do this.
Right.
And unconsciously we're thinking, yeah, but then all of our friends will be jealous and our parents are going to be asking us for a handout. Wow. and all this stuff. So that stress response shuts us down and we find ourselves, oh, I forgot to make that phone call, or I showed up late to that interview and made a bad impression, or I just didn't get stuff done today, or I'm also off my exercise routine and I'm not feeling physically well, which throws me off, which is all brilliant. Self-sabotage is simply misguided self-love based on beliefs about how we need to take care of ourselves, because we had that stress response when we try to make changes. So, hey, if only there was something we could do to calm down that stress response. And then when we're talking about our goals, it's like, oh yeah, I can do that. It's okay for me to have that level of success.
Well, so have you found that when you tap certain areas that it actually defers to other areas to work? Meaning, if you're just tapping on the head to really calm the stress, do you find that it works to other parts of the extremities, the body, to calm that as well?
Yeah, I mean, the whole system is so interrelated. It's like if you've ever seen a reflexology chart and they'll show the foot and it's got all of these nerve endings down there. But things are so interrelated. So in the practice of EFT, there's 8 points that we use along these eight major meridians. But there are times that I may just tap 1 point, and that's all I feel I need. So the different meridians are related to different organs of the body, which tend to be related to different emotions. And you might get some people who argue about, well, this meridian actually goes to this organ, to this emotion. I don't worry about that too much. That's the whole point of the original version of tapping was you would identify which 2 or 3 points to use. EFT was a simplification in terms of we're just going to use all of these 8 points and cover all the bases, whether we need it or not.
Gotcha. And that's emotional freedom technique. That's the
Yeah.
EFT is. Okay, beautiful. So when you're maybe starting to work with somebody and they've been referred to you, I'll be like, hey, you got to go talk to, if I was like, hey, Brad Yates, he's really helped me level up and get over my, because like you said, like, you're afraid to make money. A lot of people are afraid to do that because the theory of relativity comes, you got money, everyone's your relative, right? And you're afraid of that kind of stuff happening to you. So when you refer to you, there's got to be kind of a coaching aspect to it also to help them find their blind spot, if you will, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
To help them find the technique for you to tap. So is there a way that you are part of your protocol or secret sauce, if you don't mind sharing, Brad, to help them find that blind spot before we get into the cool therapy of tapping?
Yeah. And what I'll ask folks to do is first say, what is it that you want? Maybe I'll have them describe their ideal life. And I'll have them close their eyes, take a deep breath, and imagine your ideal life. So if, figure out on a scale of 0 to 10, if 10 was, I'm just, having the most amazing life.
Yeah.
What does that look like? And then I'll have them just sit there and imagine it and notice what's going on in their body. And if people are really paying attention, they'll start to go, wow, I'm so excited. But I get this tightness in my neck or I get this knot in my stomach. It's like, great. Now we can see where the resistance is. Or I'll say, okay, now think of a specific action you could take. Is it somebody you need to reach out to? Is it developing a course? Is it writing a book? See yourself taking that action that would move you in the direction of a 10. And again, following your breath through your body and just noticing what's going on in there. See how committed you feel to that. And so sometimes I'll challenge and say, okay, tell me you're going to do it tomorrow. Because they'll say, oh yeah, I can do it. Tell me you're going to do it tomorrow. Okay. And then they get the knot in the stomach or whatever. It's like, great. Now we see where the resistance is. They may know, oh, I'm afraid that I'll get it wrong. I'm afraid of being seen. They may have a specific memory of why that is. Or they may just say, I don't know what it is, but I just get a knot in my stomach. And I'll say, great. Let's just start there. We'll start tapping, even though I have this knot in my stomach, and we'll start to calm that down. And one of the great things is with the tapping, it's often like peeling the layers of the onion, and stuff that we weren't aware of consciously starts to come up. I could be really mad at somebody. It's like, oh, I'm so mad at Bob for this thing that he did. And I'll be tapping along. It's like all this anger at Bob, oh, it's not even Bob. It's Cindy. In the 3rd grade, she took away my favorite toy. And and what Bob did reminded me of that. And I've been carrying this anger about Cindy for decades and not even realizing it. And there could be all kinds of areas of my life where that has stopped me and limited my success and my happiness. So now we're able to clear out decades of uncomfortable energy and have a new level of freedom. And I call it the freedom to succeed.
Wow. So you're saying clear out decades with freedom to succeed. I love that. So maybe you're still kind of in a discovery session with somebody talking about tapping, seeing if it's right for them. Is there any good question that you wish they would ask you but never do? There's a lot of people are going to be, you and I both know that they might be skeptical, of course, at first. I'd be like, dude, how can I tap and it freaking works?
Right.
You're a believer in it. It works. I know people that do it now since I've met you,
Yeah.
And it works. But like, is there any question that you're like, man, instead of really the skeptical shit, man, can you ask me a question that makes sense?
Fortunately, because I have so much content on YouTube, by the time someone comes to me and says, I'm ready to pay your fee and work with you individually.
Yeah. That's cool.
I'm fortunate enough that I don't have to do much explaining. They may have spent hours tapping with me.
I was hoping you were going to say that because the content you put out is absolutely amazing. Have you ever seen or noticed the tapping have a detrimental effect on somebody that you had to work through multiple sessions to get them to where they need to be? Or do you see that it works pretty much right? And the only reason why I say is because I tried EMDR for one time, and I held these paddles in my hand. And I remember I did it and we went deep. It was like a CBTI kind of thing for insomnia kind of thing, right? Yeah. And it made it worse, dude. I couldn't sleep for like a month and a half. It was the worst January of 2022 I've ever had. Have you ever had any detrimental effects from tapping, or where maybe you opened up a wormhole, of lack of a better term? Did they get somewhere that you really have to dig deep with them?
What happens when we're it's not the tapping so much as
Okay.
when we're exploring something.
Okay.
So I'll say to someone, when we're tapping, sometimes the results are gradual, sometimes they're very rapid
Mhm.
in calming down the stress. There are a few times where it seems to be more stressful, but it's not
Mhm.
the tapping that does it. So I'll say it's like if you're having company over and you look at your living room and go, on a scale of 0 to 10, how dirty is it? Well, it's maybe a 2. But I
Right.
like these people, so I really want to clean it up. And so I start cleaning it up, and I notice there's dirty laundry under the sofa. Well,
Uh,
now it's dirty at a level of 6. And I wouldn't say, I shouldn't have cleaned my room. Cleaning obviously made it dirtier because it was, it went up to a 6 when I started cleaning. So it's not the tapping that does it, but it's paying
so
attention.
good. Yeah.
And the tapping, and it's great because it's like, okay, now we're aware of that. Now we're consciously aware of that stuff. Now we can clean it out. Now I can get that dirty laundry out from under the sofa, and my room really will be clean instead of me thinking it's clean.
Wow.
EMDR is a powerful tool, but there is the possibility of those abreaction. That's why, you have to be a licensed therapist to use it and go
Mhm.
through all this. EFT is a much more gentle process.
Okay. Love it. I love that. That's perfect how you answered that, man, because it really got me educated just in what you said. And I love that that it is more gentle. It's a gentle art
Yeah,
to leveling up. That's beautiful. Brad, have you seen the movie Back to the Future?
a couple times.
I was just gonna say with we're probably right around the same age, So okay, so let's get in that DeLorean with Marty McFly. Okay, let's go back to the Double Deuce, the 22-year-old Brad. Is there any knowledge nuggets that you might drop on him? That's what we call him here at Time to Shine Day, but not so much to change anything because your life's been good, man. You've had a great life.
That's
But
always the thing when someone says, if you could go back and change something, it's like, I don't know. My life is so great right now. It's
how
like,
about
there were
maybe
definitely bumpy times,
with
but
with what you know now, though, to maybe help him shorten the learning curve or blast through maybe just a little bit quicker.
well, I wish I had known EFT back then because
Okay.
there were places where I had fear that stopped me that I didn't know about. Now, the catch is that back then I was an actor, and if I'd cleared up the fear, I might have had more success as an actor, and I might not have found this. And I love what I do so much. It's like I look at, other actors and I go, there is no one out there who I envy and think, oh man, if only I'd. It's
Yeah.
like I feel so blessed to get to do what I do. So, but there are some things where I might have made some better choices
Yeah.
if I had not had the stress that directed some of my choices.
You can't. I can't even imagine the rejection and the stress. I mean, I can't imagine it just because I've worked in high end luxury real estate forever, and I get told no or go jump in the lake or even more worse words than that. So I get it. But just being an actor and walking in and your just ego is just there,
Yeah.
bare.
Yeah.
Auditioning. Not to say I've ever did it. I'm into this new improv thing now, getting on stage to help me level up.
Very cool.
But it's fine. I thank you for being transparent with that. How about your dash, man? How do you want your dash remembered? That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date, your life date and death date. How do you want your dash remembered, Brad?
When we had kids, we still have kids, but when they were little, we had them watch Tom's the Tank Engine. And in Tom's the Tank Engine, the biggest compliment the controller gives the engine is, you're a really useful engine. So I want the dash to be, he was useful.
Love it. Love it. That's beautiful. Beautiful. How about what do you think people misunderstand the most about Brad?
Ah.
I'm sorry, did you
Why is
study
it?
the questions? Because I don't think any of these are on there. I'm
No,
just
none of these.
flying, man.
No, I
I'm
was
flying
sweating
in.
over all of the questions, and then now you have answered.
Improv.
Okay, okay. Just why does he tap on his face?
Dude,
What's
that's
this
awesome.
nervous tick that he has?
He's at the airport. He's like this. That's awesome. How about what is your biggest victory with somebody? Not sharing names, obviously, but maybe a situation that they're in that tapping really got them leveled up and Like just say maybe like fear of flying or something like that, but maybe even bigger. What is the one that stands out? You're like, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's moments in all kinds of areas of life. People with upsetting events from their past, things that have happened that maybe 20 years, and it still makes them cry when they think about it.
Sure.
And sometimes in a short while, they're laughing about it, and
Right.
it's like, yeah, I can't believe I was upset about that. The other person was such a dork or whatever.
Right.
There's financial things where people have breakthroughs. I had a client who ran a business, and she said, yeah, every so often my team will say, you need to do another session with Brad, because every time you do, we all make more money.
Love it. That's
uh,
awesome, dude.
yeah.
That is huge. Be like getting everybody on board with that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So how about anything keep Brad up at night? You
You
seem so
know,
chill. You remind me of like my girl Susan a little bit, like how like your demeanor. Like she's just chill. Like I've timed her falling asleep. It's like 8 seconds, dude. It's like she's out. Like, is there anything that really kind of ramps up in your brain and keeps you going? And
well, there are times where I,
sure.
I look at people doing harm, and and it's frustrating to see what people are doing out there, and you know, I'll find myself getting into some self-righteous indignation, and then I'll tap, and then I'll remember, okay, they're doing the best they can,
Yeah.
and they're working through some stuff, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, they're in a position that their trauma or whatever is coming out and hurting others, and all I can do is try to reach more people with this work, help more people set themselves free
Yeah.
to do better, feel better, do better, live better, and that'll counteract that. And hopefully, maybe even that person
That's
will
awesome.
see one of my videos and go, "Oh, I need to knock this off."
Yeah. Yeah, that's on. You were like so honest and transparent that you're bringing up your not losses but your learning experiences along with your victories. That's beautiful. So, what is Brad's definition of a life well lived?
It's having a good time and being of service.
Yeah,
I definitely feel we're here to be of service, to make the world a better place in the ways that we can, but not at the level where it's self-sacrifice and I never get to have fun. So it's
right.
allowing yourselves to enjoy our life. That's why I'm blessed. I mean, I love what I
Yeah,
do so much.
that's awesome.
So I get the two for one.
I'm going to hang this on you because this is how I feel about you. I think that you live your life from just the 20 minutes we've been talking, like with options and not so much obligations. I think that you free up so much in your mind, if you will. And I'm not, if I'm wrong, tell me, but you just seem like you have a lot of like options. You stay open to things instead of just feeling obligated to things because you love what you do, and you're really freaking good at it. And
Oh,
thank you
thanks.
for that. And time to shine today, podcast Varsity Squad. We are back with Brad Yates, the tapper man, the tapping and EFT, emotional freedom technique. And Brad, I cannot wait to meet you like in the flesh and in person. And I'm just thinking of like 10 or 12 people around here. I just want to get together and fly you out to South Florida and have you take us through a nice weekend. That's just like my stirring. I've been writing down names, literally while we're talking. But
I'm there. I'm
when
there.
we meet, we'll talk 15, 20 minutes about each one of these questions. But today, you have 5 seconds
All
with
right.
no explanations. You ready? You need a tap for a bit? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm ready, Scotty. Go for
Alrighty,
it.
here we go. Brad, what is the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
uh, that you can't give away too much free content.
Ooh, love that. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success, other than tapping.
Oh man, you caught me. Having a morning routine, knowing what I'm going to do first thing in the morning with in terms of exercising, journaling,
Beautiful.
things like that.
Beautiful. Now I know you're really in like myself in personal development and whatnot. And if you saw me kind of walking down the street and you're like, oh, Fergie looks in his doldrums a little bit, like what book might you hand me?
my all-time favorite book is a book called Illusions by Richard Bach. Same guy who wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Okay.
My dad gave it to me when I was 15. Said, "I think you're ready for this."
Okay.
And several of my friends from The Secret, Joe Vitale, Mike Dooley, Bob Doyle, have all said that's one of the books that first got me started as well.
Okay. Beautiful. I feel terrible. I've never read it. I'm gonna get into that.
Don't
Awesome.
feel terrible, Scott. That doesn't serve anybody.
No, it doesn't. I really don't. I just wanted to say it for the squad out there. So, what is your most commonly used emoji when you text?
Oh, probably. Probably the winky emoji, and my kids laugh. They give me a hard time. They said, "Dad, you shouldn't use that emoji," but it just
Beautiful.
because they think it means something else. But
yeah, nicknames growing up.
Oh, they called me Yates Taters. Somebody came up with that, and all through high school, and then it
Beautiful.
got yeah, it was weird.
Chess, checkers, or Monopoly?
Chess.
Awesome. Go-to ice cream flavor.
Rocky Road or fish food.
Okay, I've never had that. I'll break my rule here. What's fish food?
It's a Ben and Jerry's. It's got these little chocolate fish that have caramel in them.
You can't go wrong, man.
No,
it sounds like kind of like the turtle stuff. Love it. There's a sandwich named the Yates Taters. Build that sandwich for me.
Oh, definitely roast beef.
My man. All right.
That was my go-to sandwich forever. Although, I'm also a big grilled cheese fan too.
Right,
So.
dude. Awesome. So, favorite charity and organization you like to give your time or money
to? Feeding America is one that I have a lot of my YouTube channels videos go to.
Yeah.
And there's one Unstoppable Foundation, Cynthia Kersey's organization, that does amazing work in Africa, builds schools, but also creates the infrastructure so that the kids can actually go to the schools.
Love
it, and supports it. So
love it. Hey, Donnie, get that in the show notes. Awesome. Thanks. Last question. You can elaborate even more on this one, Brad, but what is the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
Oh, probably going to go with the 70s with a little bit into the 60s and to the 80s, but there's huge Bowie fan, and that's where so much of his best stuff was.
I got to meet him as a kid, man. It was awesome. My dad worked tons of security, and so I get to meet all of them in like Detroit area.
Tapping on my envy.
There you go.
That was a lifelong goal, and unfortunately,
I didn't know who I was meeting. I was like, "Why is that guy have makeup on, dude? What's up, man? He doesn't look like Kiss. Kiss has cool makeup, So it was like that's how I thought. But I get it, man. Ziggy and Bowie. That's amazing. So, Brad, how can we find you, my friend?
Easiest way is at tapwithbrad.com. But you can also, as you said, I have over 1,000 videos on YouTube. Go into YouTube and put in Tap with Brad or tapping, and one of my videos will probably come up. I have a lot of great colleagues who have a lot of great videos out there too, but mine will probably come up as well.
Beautiful. And you have a awesome course that you launched mid-year that I definitely want to get there. It's Tap Into Money.
Tap Into Money. Yeah, we kept trying to come up with all kinds of clever names, but it's just like, no, this is just it. Tap Into Money, because we have so much resistance to money. Most people have resistance that they just don't know about. And so we thought, okay, let's create a course that really helps people identify the reasons why they think they shouldn't have it and clear that crap out so that you can experience the abundance that's possible. And that creates more opportunities for you to share your gifts and talents with the world.
Is that on your website, Brad?
That is on my website.
Beautiful. I just, being a coach and blessed to, have the clientele that I get to help level up. It's like, I know that everybody, and you can agree with this, they know what they really kind of want. They just don't know how to talk themselves into it. And I just really feel that tapping can add to the repertoire to open that up and let stuff in. And this has been just, such a pleasure talking to you about your passion. And if you could just do me one last solid and leave us one last knowledge nugget we can kind of take with us, internalize, and take action.
Yeah. Well, it's something what you just said there about, they just don't know how to talk themselves into it. And it's because most people don't know how they're talking themselves out of it.
Oh my gosh.
And my one go-to is final words is teaching people to love themselves. And it's looking at, why do you talk yourself out of loving yourself? Why do you talk yourself out of treating yourself well? And whatever those reasons are, please tap those away. Clear that stuff out, because they're misunderstandings, because you're a magnificent child of the universe. You're worthy and deserving of the best this world has to offer. And you have gifts and talents to share with the world. Please and thank you.
I love it. I love it. And squad, we have just had entertaining, but also educational masterclass with my good friend, Brad Yates. And, he started really kind of as an actor in theater, but then he had this thing called a baby. And he said, man, I better get like a backup plan and whatnot. And he was fascinated always by the power of the mind and personal development. And so he really gravitated to the EFT, the emotional freedom technique. And with that, with the tapping, there's 8 major meridians that Brad kind of just tapped onto. But if you really want to get deep into it, go to his YouTube channel, or let me make a personal introduction to Brad. He reminds us that, tapping will help calm down the nervous systems and tool down and regulate stress. It can be a complementary therapy, if you will, to other things that you're doing. Like myself, I'm in jiu-jitsu, and I'm always speaking and traveling and stuff. Tapping can really even add to my lifestyle to help me open up and level up even more. Don't look at it and get like, oh my gosh, am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? Like, don't get info overload on that. Yeah. Tapping, as Brad reminded us, is simple. You just need to know the protocol, and that's where Brad can get you. He reminded us that self-sabotage is really misguided love. And that just really hit home with me. Our stress response slows us down, and tapping can be a really nice reminder to like slow down maybe even more and then work to level up. Okay. And tapping peels kind of the layers like an onion. Tapping and EFT can peel the layers like an onion, and things can come up really from your past that you didn't really know were bothering you. But tapping and EFT can really help you move through that, heal from it, and really level up. He's going to be remembered as somebody, to me, Brad's going to remember as someone that's really planting trees. He's never going to sit in the shade of, and it's so true in his YouTube channel, squad, where, he's putting out content daily, and that content's going to be there forever. And as long as YouTube wants it to be there, but it's going to be there forever. And I'm blessed to have people like Brad that are doing that. He believes that he's going to be someone really of good service. And I am a coach, and I'm always saying, people know what they want. They just don't know how to talk themselves into it. And Brad just knowledge bomb on me. They really need to know how they're talking themselves out of it as well. And that's something I'm going to start reverse engineering and adding to my repertoire. And he wants you to love yourself, love others, enjoy what you're doing, live your dream. And that's what my guy Brad does. He levels up his health. He levels up his wealth. He's humble, yet he's hungry. I'm so blessed to be connected to you. You earned your varsity letter here, brother, at Time to Shine today. Thank you so much for coming on, man. I absolutely love your guts.
Well, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate what you're doing, and I appreciate this opportunity to share this work.
Excellent, brother. We'll chat soon. Bye now.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Time to Shine Today podcast. Proudly brought to you by Sutter & Nugent Real Estate Excellence, who can be reached at 561-249-7266 and online at www.sutterandnugent.com. If you're a business owner or professional who would like to be interviewed on Time to Shine Today, please visit timetoshinetoday.com/guest. If you like this episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to our website. Also there, you will see our recommended resources. We hope that you will support our show by supporting them. If you like what you've been listening to, it'd be great if you could just give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe while you're at it. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, and until next time, let's level up. It's our time to shine.